sculpture. So let me go put you on the stand. I attempted this once before, and I think the spring snapped on me, and it it what do you call it? Jumped out of my hand. The camera or the phone. Actually, I'm using my phone. So that's where we're at. Now let me go to my live feed. I'm centering this. Yes. That's where we want it. Now I got to go to my channel. We're going to apply a layer of Prozade adhesive over the entire prosthetic appliance using a textured. And we're going to go to the live feed. Okay, now I have the live feed in place. Hopefully I can see that from where I'm sitting because it's a little further. The chat box is a little far away from me to actually be able to read it. I have to constantly put my glasses on and off to read that chat. I'm hoping that I can see it even with the glasses on. This is terrible. Now hopefully nobody phone calls me again. Yeah, it makes it tough to see. Wish I could increase the size of that chat box. I'll have to figure that out. Okay, guys, this is where I'm at. I'm working on the jawline. I'm starting this video over again. The jawline, I had to change the chin. The chin was sticking out too far by like maybe a full 1/8 inch. And the volume on that, I have to turn that down because it's driving me crazy. I can hear myself. And it's delayed. So we don't want to hear myself. All right. Now hopefully I have some people on, or somebody else, some people will start coming on anyway. One watching. That's me. Because I'm monitoring my own. So let me see if people will come on. I haven't seen anybody else coming on. One watching. That's just me. Anyway, I'm just going to go as because this video will upload later for anybody to throw their comments into it. So basically what I've got going on here is I couldn't stand the way this chin was bulging out too far. I literally cut this back by maybe a full 1/4 inch. You know, I'm going to say about that much. It's further back. It really is. It's 1/4 to a 1/2 inch. I cut this chin way back. And when I did that, it changed the way the jawline was. So I had to reshape this jawline to bring the chin in, you know, to the jawline. I did this last night, and the reason why I didn't video it is because it was in the middle of the night and nobody would have been on anyway. So I did it as a live feed because I don't want to store my videos on my phone. I've made up my mind to that. It literally fills my phone up too much, and it's just too damn difficult to constantly delete. I got to constantly delete all my videos and pictures and everything off the phone. So it makes it just too darn difficult to mess with. So forgive me, I've got to take the glasses off. Nobody's on yet anyway, so I've got to fix this. All right, so what I'm doing here, I've got my little trusty flashlight, trying to fix this jaw, I don't want to dig into it too much, if you know what I mean. Alright, now this, in this area, this thing's a little too big. Now last night I just got tired and I didn't blend this out the way I should have before I went to bed. I just left this chunk of clay on here, and it, you know, it's now hard, so it's harder to work on. Where normally if it's soft, it's real easy to remove, and you know how that works. The harder it is, the harder it is to work with. So I got to constantly work on this jawline to get this right. I was going to start working on the ear, which I'm going to. You know, hopefully I can get that started tonight. I already did carve in like the inner side of this ear for the shape. This ear has to be all done right. It just, you know, I still have some building up to do. This ear's cut back too far. Yeah, I've changed the shape of the neck a little bit. It's not as protruding. Yeah, man. This is never a. See, I'm taking my light and I'm looking at the. Okay, yeah, this is too much. There's too much underneath it here. Okay. All right. So here's what we're gonna do. I don't want to change. I don't want to cut away from the cheek. I just have to build this out just a little bit so it's not too yeah. I got to build it out so it's not too the cheek isn't, you don't want too heavy of a line here. You know, it's got to be more natural looking. Right here it's perfect, but under here it gets a little too heavy. All right, so what we need. Yes. That's better. Now that I've got the right thickness here, I'll start smoothing it out. Let me see if I can go with this. Need more light right on this. My back is up against this light. Let me see if I can't move that light a little bit. There we go. Now I can see it, but I'm sure the camera is drowning out the shadow here, so you're not really seeing the shadow. But I need to see this line. I gotta be able to see this. I'll move the light again once I have it where it needs to be. Okay. I'm putting in that carved line there but that gets smoothed out, you'll see. Okay, so I know what I have to do here. My shadow's still in the way here. Oh yeah, I added probably at least 3 days more work by changing that depth of that chin, but it's definitely it was needed. I couldn't keep pushing forward with the way that was looking. I did not like the way that looked, and I got too much clay missing out of that crevice there. So, and the one thing about sculpting is you have to sneak in everything. You have to really sneak it in, and what I mean by sneaking it in is you're working with very little bits, chunks of clay, very little. And what I want to do is smooth this out. Now I'm gonna fill this cavity in, and really put a smooth line on there, and then smooth it so it's flush. Then add the cut in. I don't want to cut in until I have everything really balanced. Yeah, I can even see that it's still too. Okay. We'll fix. The hardest part of sculpting this is getting the real shape down, getting the shape right. You know, that's the hard part, is getting the shape right. Now I'm really coming in on it now, because now I've got it's a rounded dip right in here. It's just perfectly rounded right in here, which is perfect, because now I can actually smooth this out and then put the line in. Very subtle too, very subtle. You know, it's just the way I tackle things. It doesn't mean you have to do the same thing, but I don't know. I'm learning as I go. learning with me. Nothing's exact. But you see what I'm doing here now? I'm actually making this all look like it's all part of the same line. Smoothing it out, constantly smoothing it out. Alright, so there's very little boy, I really did have it nice. It really, when the chin was sticking out, this area was perfect. But when I turned it on its side, it just didn't look, the shape, that the chin was out too far. It just looked like it was stretched. It didn't look right. So I'm trying to get this back to where it, some normalcy with that line. Right now it's all about smoothing it out to get the shape right. You have to get the shape right. Down here still. Now I'm going to turn this thing a little bit. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yep. That's what I'm talking about. Now what I'm looking at here, I'm looking dead on of the jawline, and I'm looking how it smooths in naturally right into the jaw. That's what we want. We want it to smooth in nice and round, nice and smooth, no cut lines. It's just, you have to make the face look real. And that's the hard part, is making it look real. If I want to use, okay. Right where I've stuck that clay, I'm just blending it in, so there's no lines. And once I do the naphtha treatment to it, it should come in and look pretty good. But I know I have underneath the jawline here where I pulled that clay down. I have to smooth that out a little bit better. This is where it's so important. Your eye has to be really, really sharp. It's it's the generalized shaping of the face is the hardest part. It really is. Getting the little details, that's easy. To me that's easy. It's not hard for me doing details. It's getting the general shape right. That's the most important thing. Anybody on yet, guys? Okay, yeah, I got 3 watching, guys. Say hello. I got the chat. I believe the chat's on. So, um, yeah, I'm working. All right, I'll explain it to you since you guys are on now. I had to change. I couldn't stand it. It was driving me crazy. What I was doing, I changed the depth of the chin. In other words, I'll put a profile on it. Let me show you. This is irritating. All right, so this chin was literally sticking out probably about that much further. At least I'm going to say a half inch. I cut this chin line back about a half inch. As a matter of fact, you see where this lip is? Here, well, no, it's not quite right. The chin line's, it's further back, but when I changed the depth of the chin, so it wasn't sticking out as far, it altered this whole jawline. So I had to cut this back, readjust the jawline, and that's what I'm working on here right now, is I'm working on the jawline and bringing an undercut a little bit better underneath. What I'm going to sculpt on tonight is I'm going to fix the neck area. I don't want any flare out on the neck, because that's not the way this mask is supposed to be. It's supposed to be straight up and down. I want to make sure there's no flaring. In the back of this head, you'll see there's a little bit of a flare right here. It caves out and it goes out, but that's got to be straight. So, you know, I can't really. Yeah, I'm going to have to cut away some of the base here, and then maybe add a little bit into this dugout area here. So I want this really straight. That's how the mask is. But right now I'm working on this area here. I'm trying to smooth it in and make it, you know, make it nice and smooth in this area. What am I feeling here? Oh yeah. I'm feeling chunks of missing clay. Okay, that feels a lot better. See, some of the stuff's soft because it's been in my hand, but I can still feel a little debit there. So I'm going to put a little clay in there, push it in, and then try to smooth it out. The lighting is killing me in here right now. I have to change this, where the angle of this light. Yeah, see, I can feel this dent right in here. Okay. So I put a little piece of clay in there, and then I push it in almost perfectly. Then I smooth it into the face. You want to smooth it in as much as possible. And then those little tiny bumps that are left, you use your tool to take out. You use your tools, whatever tools you choose, and that's how you smooth it. And you take out that little lump that happened after you put that clay on there. You're not trying to take the depth out of it again. You're just trying to work on the edges. You know, I try to do a lot of the smoothing with my hands, because you can feel the imperfections. That's why it does take a little bit of excuse me, a little bit of ability in sculpting. You definitely have to have an artist eye. You cannot just jump into something like this and expect perfection without doing this over and over and over and over and over again. Even me, with, you know, the eye that I have, I've never sculpted in clay, so and I've never done faces, so it's a learning experience for me. I have to constantly see, right now I'm working with such a small amount of clay, trying to bring it in, you know, making sure the shape's right. I spent a lot of time last night readjusting this jaw, and because the reason why I didn't go live with it or make a video with it is, one, I didn't want to store it on the phone. If I went live, I would have had nobody on, because it was in the middle of the night. I was literally couldn't sleep, so I got up and I went silly And so, would you guys like to see me do the ear? You know, because I've got the shape where I want it. It's all about smoothing now. I just have to smooth this guy out. That's it. Yeah, this is all pretty much. That's pretty much done. I just have to smooth it all out. That's. Let me turn it towards you. Yeah, I had to narrow the jawline a little bit, which actually looks more like that's how the flashback mask looks. It's a little bit more narrow. I still have the lips to work on. I still have to fix these lips a little bit. The chin, I still want to round it. Maybe put a little bit of a roundness right in here a little bit better. We'll see. I'm actually pretty close right now. I definitely have some work to do underneath the chin, but I have to tilt this back. And I got to make sure the back of my head doesn't hit anything when I go to tilt this back. And I actually have to tilt it back so I can work underneath this bottom jaw and chin to really smooth it out underneath and make it real nice underneath. You definitely don't want to try and kneel and work from underneath. I tilt this thing back. I figure out a way. I'll put some cushioning on the back of the head and lean it up against something. This is a very hard clay, which is good. This is where it helps you when you have hard clay. I don't have to worry about serious dents or anything when I push this. If I lean this back on itself, this clay is hard enough as long as the surface is not too, like you're not coming in onto a point or something. It won't dent. You know, you can put a couple rags on the back of this thing or a couple thick towels and then lean it on something. And lean it against the wall here, lean it against the shelving or whatever I got to lean it against, and then work underneath the chin, and I don't have to worry about the back of the head getting dented. I love the hard clay. A lot of people complain that it's hard on the hands. Look at it as exercise. If your hands are strong, you know, you'll get strong hands out of this because you're working with a very hard clay. Your grip becomes like iron. It really does, because you're really working with. I've been working for this a year and a half now. I'm a 60-year-old man. I'm not supposed to be developing arm. You know, I still got a lot of strength in my arms. It's crazy, but this is helping it. Believe it or not, this working with this clay is really helping. Believe it or not, my arm strength. It's crazy. My forearms, I say, my grip. My grip is good. Yeah, I don't want to mess with this until I change the lighting in here. I don't want to mess changing this. I can already see where there's spots. So, with that said, let's start working on this ear. And I've got to turn this in such an angle so it's right here, right in front of me. Picking up some crumbs of clay that are on the bench here. Oh yeah. Okay, so what do I want to do first? All right, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take out this bump. I built this out. And all I'm going to do right now is I'm going to flatten this. Now, I've worked on enough ears to know how to do the ear. Oh boy, I don't want that going down in there. there's some mortar that's still on this thing. We don't want that in here. Put that in the trash. Oh yeah. There's chunks of hard mortar that are still stuck into the clay here. We don't want that. All I'm doing is I'm carving this back down to give it the ear. Okay, let me clean this mess up that I have here on the bench. Boom. Wow, that cleaned up a lot. Okay. Now, what do I want to do here? How do I want to do this first? Okay, this is what I'm going to do. I need my little tools for this. Let's get the little tools out. All of them. Preferably I need the square ones, the round ones, the bigger square ones, okay, so what do we want to do here? Okay, so what we have to do is we're going to dig into this area. Actually, you know what? Let's work on the center of the ear. Let's work on here first. Because this, let me just turn this thing. Now I'm not copying this exact ear. That's not what I'm trying to do. This ear here, I'm just trying to make sure I'm not forgetting things. Just the little tiny details that I'm trying to look at. I want to make sure that they're still there, and don't want to dig too far into okay, so we want to I'm still going to build this ear out, so it's going to be further out. But I want to make sure that I alright, this is going to be, I'm bringing this ear down further anyway. So. Alright, I've been kind of waiting for the clay to warm up in my hand. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I got to set the depth correctly on the and I like working a little at a time. I don't put too much clay on it at once. Let me sneak this in, and we're going to got to set the right depth, and then I'll worry about smoothing. Make sure that the ear is not sticking out too far. Nice and round. We don't want this area looking flat. This literally gets pushed back in almost flush with the face right in here. It really sticks out on the back of the ear. And that's what I'm going to do right now, is make sure that this ear is sticking out pretty far on the back. Get them chunks ready, because it's going to be a minute or two before I get to where you start really see it come together. That's for sure. It's not that I don't know. The ears to me are not as difficult as everybody says they are, but that's just me. That could be it could be really difficult for somebody else. I think my struggle is the nose. I think the nose is the hardest thing to do. I think that is really truly the hardest thing to sculpt. Right now, I'm just trying to get it, the right depth. I'm trying to bring the ear out. There's a little bit of a slant to the ear. In other words, the back's sticking out a little further than the front. And that's what I'm trying to get the balance. This all got caved in. This was actually the Halloween Kills version. This ear got damaged because I purposely damaged it to make it look burnt and sizzled up and melted. And when I did that, it distorted the whole ear to the point where almost unrecognizable. So with that being said, I have to build the ear completely back up again. I gotta redo the ear. Just putting the bulk of the ear back together. Now I see this is flat. This looks flat. I need a little bit more roundness in here. So that's no big deal. I don't want it to look like this because this is slanted down. I'm trying to make the ear a little bit more rounded. Like it is on the actual flashback mask. Like that. See, what I'm doing is I'm going to push the excess back in behind the ear, and then I'll dig that out later, but I want to make sure that everything is equal. I still got a lot to do in here, and there's a lot of work. There's not just a little bit of sculpting going on here. But you want to make sure your shaping is good before you go and move on to, now there's a whole earlobe here that has to be done. And I think I may pull up a better picture of the earlobe on this. I can't actually look at that when I'm working anyway, so I'm pictureless right now. I'm going off memory. A lot of people can't do that. I can on certain things. You do it enough. I don't know how many do-overs I've done with this so far, but quite a few. Quite a few do-overs already. Now I'll check my depth. When I turn it straight forward, I'll look at the other side. The other side's pretty close to finished. And then I'll adjust the ear, depth onto the head. As we speak. I'll do that as I can already tell I got too much on this side, but that's okay. You can always take away, as they say. Well, in wood you can always take away. You can't add. But in clay you can do it both ways. You can add and take away. That's a nice thing. Wood, you take it away, it's gone. You've wrecked it. You've wrecked your piece. Okay, so the next thing I have to do is I want to turn it on its side just to see where my depth is on the ear. Wow. That ain't bad for eyeing that up. Wow, it's a little bit too chunky down here. I'll show you what I'm talking about. And what I'm looking at, let me see if I can turn this directly at the camera. Back a little bit. What I'm looking at is the depth of the ear on the head. On this side, this is this side, and that's the other side, and they're really close. Let me see. Do I have? Let me put my glasses on and see what you guys see. All right, I got to turn it just a little bit more towards me so you can see. There you go. See how close I am? And I just going by eye, and I wasn't even looking at the other side. I have to bring this down just a little bit right on the bottom portion of the ear, but not much. All right, the depth is set now. I know I don't have to go any further out with it, and now I can work on the inner parts of the ear to really bring it in. All right, so with that being said, I'm going to turn this around again. I have to carve away some of this depth right here. Can't do it with glasses. I can't do it with the glasses on. Alright, so we're going to taken away the bottom portion that was sticking out too far. But not much. And I'm trying to shape the earlobe as I'm doing this. A lot of detail still has to be done to the actual inner ear. And not too much work. Most important part of getting the ear right is making sure your depth is right and the shape in general. The back of our ears naturally stick out further away from our heads, and then it kind of sneaks into our face. That's the way our ears are, and there's a slight slant. It's not just you don't just throw a bunch of, you don't just put a round circle of clay on there and carve it out and call it an ear. That's not the way it works. I got two watchers. Okay, I got somebody else on here. Yeah, I don't know if my chat's working. I don't know what's going on with that. I guess I got to set that up. That stinks. I want to be able to talk to people. I want to be able to talk to you guys live. This is not fun for me. But always leave your comments, especially after the video's been uploaded. Because the video gets uploaded. Then you can always throw your comments in there, something that you were going to ask me, or until I get this right, this channel right. I got to get some help on it, I guess. I got to get somebody that knows what they're doing with YouTube. Because nothing's ever easy, is it? Nothing's ever easy. Everything's got to be difficult. Okay, see now, this is where I made a mistake here. I started digging into the ear without having the depth set. So now I'm going to have to put some clay back into this ear to give us the right depth on the ear itself. So we're going to put some clay right in here. But what's nice about this is now I can really shape this the way it should be. Now there's a peak in the ear that's right here. Comes right across this point right here. And what I like to do is I like to bring it in and then I pull it in this way. See what I'm doing here? Putting that peak in, I'm going to round off that edge. I got to make sure that the edge is straight. Now, when I get close to refining the look of the ear, on exact look that I'm looking for, that's when I'll refer to the pictures, and I'll probably do that off camera. And I'll make a video of just refinement on really getting it close. Oh yeah, that chin line looks a lot better looking at the profile now. It looks really, yeah. I made the right choice fixing that. I really did. Yeah, that was not right. And that was eating at me terribly for a long time. I was just like, nah, you need to fix that, Johnny boy. You need to fix that, Johnny boy. So, right now, I'm just, this is such a rough cut of what I'm trying to achieve here. Now, the other thing that happens here is around the outer, the outermost most portion of the inner ear bumps out just a little bit, and that's what creates the crevice inside here. So you see how mine's cut back. I cut it back on purpose because I knew I had to add to that region, and I'm going to sneak this in a little at a time, and I'll show you what I mean. See how I bump this out? Now I got to do the same thing, going around this ear and then bringing it in. It'll all of a sudden start coming to life to you, and you'll be going, oh wow, okay, that's pretty cool. Because that's what I always do. Oh wow, man, that's pretty cool. I always say the same thing in my head all the time when I discover something or I learn something new. I go, oh wow, man, that's pretty cool. Yeah, man. That's what life is. It's just one pretty cool giant joyride. It all depends on how you choose to live your life. If you're going to be negative or positive, how do you see your glass? Is it half full or half empty? You know, it's true though. It really is. You know, do you choose to dwell on the heavy or the light? Are you a light beer drinker or a heavy beer drinker? Oh God. We can go on with that for hours, I guess, huh? Okay, so now I'm coming into the bottom of the ear, and I have to punch this out just a little bit, but it also smooths back in. So what we're going to do is we're going to smooth that into where it needs to be. See, this clay is real soft now. So all this roughness in here, this is going to get semi-filled anyway. We've got an ear cleft that has to go in here yet, which I don't want to. I never put this. I don't know what this is called here. I can't remember what it's called. It's like that. See this little portion right here. I never put this in here until the last bit, because you got to smooth out this inside real nice. You got to make that look nice. And if that's in your way, which 90% of the time it does get in the way when you're trying to get the inner ear and the ear hole done. And it's very important to have the ear hole in there, but you don't want the ear hole too deep, because what happens is when you go to mold this thing, if the ear hole is too deep, you end up with this huge chunk of clay or stone that literally doesn't want to come out of there, because you set the depth too deep, and when you go to pull your stone, because the seam's right here where the two halves of the stone separate all the way around, back behind the ear and then down the neck, and you don't want to create what they call locking. And anytime, like the ear is a big locker, it locks every time, because once it goes down here and it goes around, this whole portion is part of the front half of the sculpture. So you see, this creates a lock in here, and the ear hole creates a lock. Everything else kind of falls forward. This back here becomes locked behind this Christ. But when you tear this apart, it definitely damages the ear every time. You're never going to get your ear to survive a demolding, and doesn't work. I don't care how good you are. You are not going to survive the demolding process and save your ears. You just have to resculpt them. If you're going to keep working with this particular sculpture, you're gonna have to, that's what they call retooling your sculpture. You're gonna have to fix your issues that the demolding process destroyed. Yes, that's what happens with the ears, and you're seeing the shape come into play. Let me see, do I want to, yeah, I want to get into here pretty good. But I want to smooth this too at the same time. I don't want to go too deep. See, on these tools, these are cheap tools. These little things, you can get them right on eBay. You know, these type of tools. You can, let me get closer to the camera here. Yeah, these tools here, they're pretty cheap. You know, you get them like $12 or whatever for a set. And what's nice about them is one side is the cutting side on the loop, and the other side is the smoothing side. You can feel it because it grabs your finger when you go up against it. You know, this side is the smoothing side on this side, and this is the cutting side facing me. So, you know, it's nice to it's nice to understand your tools, what they're for, why they, you know, what. Yeah, I got some work to do here. Okay, so I'm going to cut into this just a little bit, not much. I'm cutting and smoothing at the same time. I'm trying to take out any ridge work, any kind of. Boy, I really destroyed this ear when I sculpted it for the Halloween Kills. Now what I'm going to do here is, you see how like this is protruding out, and then it's really dug out in this area. But I'm not trying to fill that whole area in. I'm trying to work the clay back in towards the center of the ear, in towards the back of the ear, and just keep shaping it that way. It's just easier to do it that way. Because if I start filling from here and then pull it forward, it's just difficult. You're making it harder for yourself. Now this is dug in way too deep back here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little piece in here, and I'll pull that forward. Perfect. Now I've rounded that out. All right, we'll fix that with tools. Ain't no big deal. Right now I'm trying to get the shape of the ear done. And then I'll worry about the details. Always the general shape has to be done first. Like this is too deep in here, right there. So I'm going to create a little worm. I definitely need it thinner than that. And I'm going to work it in a little at a time. I don't want it too thick, and I don't want it too thin. Okay, somebody did say hello. Hold on, let me check you out, buddy. Gotta put the glasses on. You're talking to an old man. Yes, I can see this. Is it Pipe Master 84? Yes, I can see it. Thank you for doing that, because I couldn't, I wasn't sure if anybody was able to post any of the, yeah, so guys, please, you know, if there's something you wanna talk to me about, go for it, man. Throw it on there. I'm not looking over a lot, but I'm gonna, now that I see that this is working, I will constantly look over at you guys and try to read your messages. And if there's any questions, anything you want answered, hey, I'm learning as you learn. This is, I love this. This is awesome, man. This is just a And if you guys are experienced and you want to give me some pointers, man, I'm all ears. I am all ears. I am trying to avoid spending any unnecessary time. Um, but I can't sculpt with my glasses on. I have got to get some new glasses. I don't even know if new glasses is going to work. I'm diabetic. Um, yeah, see how that came in nice? See, we're getting a real good general shaping now of the ear. You know, that's starting to happen. That's starting to happen. This is still just a little too deep in here. And before I get too comfortable, with, you know, now that's too deep in here. I can see that. But you sneak it in. Crumbs of clay, as Nick Malpagano would always say. Crumbs of clay. You're working with crumbs of clay when you're coming into the fine details. And he is no joke. You are really working. If you're working with anything, like when you're getting into the finish line, when you're working and it's really coming in close to where you're at, if you're not working with pin-sized pieces of clay, you're not sculpting correctly. Let's just say it that way. Doesn't that make sense? When you're working with real fine pieces of clay, that's when you're doing it right. You're sneaking it in. You don't want to overdo it. And then you're gonna have to tool it to death. You're gonna have to work it all out. Um, and that ain't no fun. I can't imagine. I can see this area here, right? This needs to be protruding out a little bit more even. It's got to be flush with what's here. Because this area here literally bulges out a little bit on the inner ear. I don't have the terminology of what the ear. I'm going to have to look it up. I'm going to have to look it up so I know what I'm talking about. But then even when I know what I'm talking about, are you going to understand what I'm saying? So if I start using scientific terminology for everything that I'm working on, it's going to be talking over everybody's head. You know, some. I wouldn't say everybody, but some. And I'm sorry. I'm going to keep being the idiot that I really am. So with that being said, guys, I'm right now working on the inner portion of the ear, and I'm trying to keep that bulge uniform. See how you got. See, one thing about the clay is when it gets real soft, it'll pull away from the hard clay. So in other words, I put a piece of clay on that's real soft and it's attaching to the harder clay underneath because it cooled down. What happens is it pulls away when I'm trying to smear it, when I'm trying to shape it. I try to do most of my shaping, my major shaping, with my fingers because I can feel the shape. I don't know how to explain that. I can feel it when the shape is correct. Now in here, you see how I'm bulging out this whole ring right around the inner ear. I make sure it's pretty much uniform going all the way around. And right here it's dug in too far. If you just look back and forth of what I'm doing here to here, I'm not trying to copy this ear. That's not the intention. I'm just trying to get the generalized shaping correctly. And then when I go to the pictures of the actual mask, the flashback mask, I'm going to actually, because there's a good picture with the side view of the ear, and I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that picture to get it right. See how it's coming together, guys? See how this is starting to look now? You know, most of my sculpting is with my hands, but I always have to warm this clay up with my hands. I keep my clay in my hands. My clay ball that I take from, I pinch off a little bit and I add it to it. I always add from that clay because when it's nice and soft, it's just like soft clay. It works just the same way. Now it's going to drive me nuts, that little piece right there. And I'm just going to throw a little piece in here to smooth this out so it's all uniform. So what do you guys think so far? Oh, another comment. I'm sorry that I'm not. What's up, Jim? Well, now I know you're Pipe Master 84. Now I know your tag. That'll be cool. So it's funny. I've had people actually state, "Nah, you didn't sculpt that. You didn't do this." You know, yeah. I've actually said I had one guy believing that I made my sculpture from something that already existed. I think it was the Trick or Treat Studios '78 mask. They accused me of literally copying that. I'm not sure what they meant as far as copying. Did I like make a mold from that? No, I didn't do that. I sculpted everything. You can see I'm sculpting. I'm not playing around here. I love it. I do love this. We got two watching. That's me and Jim. Jim, you're the only one on with me. That's fine. I don't care. It's me and you, buddy. Until somebody else comes on. But you know, if you're not into this kind of thing, I can't imagine sitting through a live video of somebody sculpting because it takes so long to show so little. It's very tedious. You know, you can spend hours just, you know, especially if you make mistakes a lot, which sometimes I do. Constantly readjusting the jawline is not helping my fight here. It really isn't. I had to readjust this jawline. I'll show you. Now the profile looks a lot better. Right in this area, every time I turned this face, this chin was literally, Jim, this chin was sticking out like that much further. I just, in the middle of the night last night, I got up and I cut this back because it just kept bothering me. And I thought, man, when I do this, I know that I'm going to have to readjust this whole bottom from the lip, from the lower lip down, all the way back. I had to sculpt all this lower jaw area to make it work. When I cut this way back like that, it messed up all how this came into play. So there was a lot of work that I did in a short amount of time last night. But now, if you look at the profile, it looks a lot better. See, that chin protrudes just a little bit further out than the eyebrow region. You know, right where the scowl comes into the eye. That's not supposed to be sticking out. Now, if you see the profile on this guy here, all right, you see how, let me see, I want to make sure you're seeing the profile. Let me back up. Yeah, you see how the chin's out way past this? And that's flat on. I'm not trying to replicate this. I'm trying to replicate the 78 more, bringing the chin back. That's actually sitting probably about out to here. It's a little bit further out, but it's still a lot better than what it was. Man, that chin was like out here. It was almost even with the nose. It just didn't look right. I couldn't put my finger on it. Well, I kind of did. I knew what was wrong with it, but I kept not wanting to pull the trigger because I thought, oh my God, I got to resculpt that whole bottom jaw. I knew that that's what I was going to have to do. And last night, and I didn't video it because I was like, kind of like, I don't know. It was middle of the night, and I don't want to store my videos on my phone. it just, I don't even have the space in it for right now. I have to unload a bunch of pictures, and I don't want to store, so I want to go live with all my videos. I want to go live. Whether people join me or not, that doesn't matter to me. It does and it doesn't. I mean, it's nice when I can talk to people, but it's not the most important thing. I'm trying to make this a teaching class more than a, you know. Yes, I'm trying to build a channel, but what's important is making sure the content's good. You know, when you're going out to, when it goes on, when it saves, you know, you can always add your comments to it later on, because this is going to be public, and you'll be able to add comments to anything that I'm doing. Yeah, Jim, you know, you do it all the time. I'm talking to everybody out there that might jump on here after it's already recorded and put on here. See, now I turned the space and I found little imperfections that I want to get rid of. Now I'm using the smoothing side of this tool. I'm not using the cutting edge. And I still have to put the little line back in here, very subtle. Literally, I had to readjust this whole area here in the jawline, even up underneath the cheek line. I had to bring this back in and smooth it in, you know, make it look really, you know, it just, things I had to do. Okay, back to the ear. All right, so I want to make sure my depth is right. And I'm pretty close. I got a little bit, that looks pretty good right there. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I want the cutting edge of this knife here. There it is there. Now it's all about smoothing out. First thing I got to do is, I got a really small looped tool here, and I want to go into the corner. I got to go into the corner of the very edge of the ear. And I'm basically setting a depth, is all I'm doing, with how deep I want this. Let me see, that might be in your way. How deep I want this crevice in here. I want to set that depth and exactly where I want to set it. And then from there, I smooth in the rest into this area, if you know what I mean. Now, the trick to the earlobe area, believe it or not, is bringing this in. Then I'm using a square edge tool here, and I'm going to pull this forward and down into the lobe. See what I did there? Hopefully the light's not giving it away. I think I cut too close to the edge here. But then I use my finger to round that out, smooth that out, so it looks more natural. It's really not rocket science, it's not. And what I'm going to do here now is cut away that dig out mark right in here, but that gives me a nice, you know, cut wall here, and then I'll smooth this out. May even cut a little deeper, and then bring it into smooth. Is this hard? Maybe for some. It's not hard for me, it's relaxing. I love doing this. This is so fun for me. Equivalent to putting a kid in a sandbox. You know, and go create something. Go make something. So this brings the kid out of me. It really does. It brings the kid out of me. It just, I need a little bigger of a blade to flatten this out here, but straight. Let me see. Do I have something that's bigger? It's a little bit bigger. Because this clay gets hard pretty quick. You know, you have to smooth it out with tools. You know, there's really no way around it. Oh yeah, I found the tool I need. There we go. You gotta remember, your ears aren't perfect. If you go in there and you feel them, man, they're all bumpy and lumpy. And if you make it too smooth, it's not going to look natural. So remember, always kind of feel your own face too. You know, you go in there and you go, wow, man. You can really feel the, and then apply that same, remember that feeling that was in your fingers, and then go, you know, go in here and kind of, does that feel right? Does this feel right in here? Boy, mine's really deep, so no, that definitely. Well, I have to actually look at this. Man, my ears are funky. I didn't realize how goofy my ears were. But they're pretty funky. They're not like the normal ear. Not even close. But then again, everybody's ears are different. We happen to go with William Shatner's ears here. But you see what's going on, right? Now this here, I've got to bring this down to where it literally almost disappears into the ear. Definitely don't want clobs of clay getting caught up underneath here. I'm trying to smooth out in this area because once I put that little ear cleft that's right here, I'm going to call it a cleft and bring it right in here. I have to put that in here and make sure this is dug in just a little bit so there's no mess. I don't want to have to carve in here or carve down in here after I put that in, because then it becomes difficult to work in those areas. So get it right now before you put that back in. It don't really kind of matter how deep I go with that, because, well, yeah, you don't want to go deeper than this. But this is a lesson on how to basically do. Oh, sorry, Jim. Hold on, let me look. I get caught up in my sculpture here, and what are you saying to my pal? Let's take a little break. Let's think about this. I think I'm going to call this, I think I'm going to go back to the drawing board, and this is Night Creeper 78. It'll be a combination of the flashback mask, the 78, and the 1982. Gives you all the looks of those three masks, bringing it back to the 78. I thought about the, because I have the 70, I'm doing the same series. Night Creeper 78 is what this is going to be, and I'm not going to call it flashback because I don't know, I'm kind of going back to the 78 anyway, so why not just call it the 78, and you're getting that look. You're getting the look of that flashback mask. Here you go, take a look. The lip isn't done, the lower lip isn't done. I resculpted this whole thing last night, so this isn't quite done. But you're getting the look of that 78. I did nothing up in this area, nothing at all, nothing. A little bit of work in here, but mostly just lower jaw area. I narrowed the jaw line just a little bit. I had to, because when I sunk that chin back, I had to bring it in. Now, if you can see, there's little bulges right here where his jawline is. I had to readjust where that fell in. It still fell right underneath the cheek lines. But the pitch of this dropping back further changed it right in here. More here. But once I changed it in here, it didn't look right on the jawline. So now I have the jawline set to where I'm happy with it. Yeah, that's where we're at. Now this is all about detail. Jim? Okay. Yeah, I think I'm going to go back to the 78, because after achieving the final look of my sculpturing, I think this is it. This is the one that I'm going to consider, I guess, call it complete. I know the other ones I said the same thing, but once I learned, and it was this was a big change. If you see how the eye cuts are set back underneath, and this stands out past the eye cuts, that's what creates that shadow, natural shadowing into the eyes. So I cut my eye cuts back all up underneath here, and these still are protruding. I still kept my original shape of the 78, all right, with this mask. The shape of the cuts, the eye cuts, I kept them the same. I dug back further here on the eye cut. I made sure that I cut back further in this area. I cut up underneath here a little bit better, and then I added the bulging here for the flashback. So you got the bulging on both sides right in this area, all right, for the flashback. The scowl is more accurate to the original 78, I widened the scowl. In other words, I'll show you what I did with the scowl. This scowl was a little bit more straight up. It had more of a line that went straight up this way. I took that scowl and I lowered it and put it out in that direction. So it actually made the face look a little wider by widening the scowl. And then in this area, once I bulged out both sides of here, I lowered the depth. I actually took clay and I had to put clay inside of here on both sides and lowered the depth of this cut, of this I would call it the shaping of the eye. I would say the eyebrow region. I had to literally I had to resculpt that. When I changed the positioning of the scowl, I had to change the whole depth of the eyebrows region. So there's a lot I did to this. There's unbelievable amount of work that I did to this, to bring this into the 78 look, versus, this is the 78 mask, and it covers the 8. I'm not even going to say 81. I don't think I'm going to. It's a different timeline. In other words, the 81, it's like they pretended it never existed. But I love that movie. I still love the original Halloween 2. So with that being said, I still don't want to go and, I don't know, I just don't feel like making that mask. There's something about, my brother loves Halloween 2 mask more than he liked the look of the original 78. My thought is, if this is the sculpture, you do a thin casting of this, you shrink it. All right, Sue, I love you. See you later. That's my wife. She's going to work. Yeah, if you make a thin casting of this, and maybe put some foam inserts on the inside of the mask on the face, you'll naturally stretch out the mask to give you that 81 or 82 look. No, 81. Halloween 2, 81. And what you can do is just give it a paint, a different, like a yellowish paint scheme instead of the white. That's what I'll do to give you that. I'll still say, okay, do you want the Halloween 2 version? It's going to be this sculpture. It's going to be what you see right here. It's not going to be changed. I'm not changing the sculpture to make it look like the 82. I'm going to change the paint job, and then I'm going to try and get somebody to wear the mask that has just a normal head, normal size head, and then fill the inside of the mask with some foam pieces on the temples, so it stretches the mask out at the top. Maybe some foam all the way around here, this region, and that'll put a natural stretch. You have to do a thin casting to achieve that. You also have to, the paint scheme has to be right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that'll turn out. Well, we're going to find out. But I mean, think about it. If this was the actual shape of the 78, that's what they used. They used the same mask. The guy just had a bigger head, and I'm pretty sure that the original sculpting, the original size of that Halloween mask in 78 was about the size of this mask right here. And you can see, now this is sitting back. Let me pull it out to where it's almost even with my sculpture. Oops, don't want it to fall. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull that all the way out like that, but we're going to find out in a second. I'll bring this back, pull this forward. There, we're about even. Look at the size difference. Let me turn this a little bit more. Look at the size difference in those two masks. That's massively different. All right, now you have to remember, every time, like when I make my master mold from this clay sculpture, every time I do another mold from a casting. In other words, if I make I put stone over this and I take the stone off, that's the master mold. Now I put latex in that mask or in that mold, and I let it cure. I pull that latex out of that mold. It's going to naturally shrink as much as 2 inches smaller, even when it's foam filled. So then what happens is then I stone cast that mold or that master copy. It's 2 inches smaller. Now I make a master copy for that master, and now I've shrunk it down a total of 4 inches. You get where I'm going with this? Every time I make another casting from from the original mold, every time I cast it, or make another mold from the shrunken version, it's going to keep shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. I can make that head this big if I want, but I don't want to. There's going to be 2 sizes. You're going to have the master size, which is going to be 2 inches smaller than this. That's the large. It'll be 2 inches smaller than the original sculpture. All right, that'll be the very massive, extra large mask. That's for people that have huge heads, or they're 6'6" and they want to play Michael Myers, and they need a large mask. They'll have that mask, and I find that rare for somebody to order that mask. Did you just send another message? Hold on. Nope, same message. Okay. All right, Jim. Yeah, no, I can keep shrinking this down. I can make it smaller. I can't make it larger. I can make it smaller. So you always want to make sure your sculptures are very big. You want to make sure that mask is a lot bigger, or the sculpture is a lot bigger, because every time you shrink it down, you can make multiple sizes. You can make kids. I can make it as small as this, right here, and but that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep working on this until I perfect it. I have to get this mask done right. I really feel like. Now I'll show you. Let me show you the ear. All right, generalized ear. Push him back again. All right, you see where I'm going with this, right? You see how this is all coming into play. Let me turn this side around, and you can see how the shape starts to really take place. You see how you're smoothing it in right here. This side's not even completely done yet. I don't have this done yet. I need this a little bit more rounded. The cleft is not in here yet because I wasn't done this side, but it is smoother. It's a lot smoother. It's closer to the finish line than the other side. But as you can see, that's how you do an ear. I just showed you the real trick to doing an ear on this side. That is the real, oh boy, dropping tools now. Don't want to do that. Let me make sure that my depth is right. Yeah, man, take a look. All right, look at the depth on the ear. You get this guy out of the way so you can't. I want some black background so you can see the ear. All right, do I have it set? There we go. Turn it just a little bit more. Keep going. Got to get it to where the camera's looking dead at it. Straight on. Not quite right. Almost. You keep adjusting it just so it looks, so you're looking dead on at it. There you go. That's pretty close. The depth, in other words, it's how far it's sticking out away from the head. Both sides are pretty even. The side sticking out at the top just a little bit too much, which is nothing but taking away just a little bit. But you can see that the ears are close. They're in the exact right spots. which I never changed the position of the ears. You know, and it's very important when you're sculpting. That ear hole lines up with my ear hole when the mask is done. It does line up with the ear hole in my head, which is good. It really lines up so you can hear out of your mask when it's done. Same with the eyes. Eyes, nose holes, and ear holes, very important. And the only way you can actually do that is when you get this armature, it's called an Ed Head, and you can get it from Monster Makers. It's Ed Head 2.0, and this can be liquid filled. Um, I'm done. All right, before I drag you guys through the mud with my conversation here, I'm done with sculpting tonight on this because I want to smooth this in. All right, so if you guys don't want to stay on and listen to me yap, thank you for joining me. But I want to show you. I'm going to explain everything of what I'm doing. Okay, so the ear holes, the nose holes, and the eye holes. As long as you stay where those are on the Ed Head itself, you make sure that the nose holes are where the Ed Head nose holes are, and the ear holes are where the ear hole should be on your ear on the Ed Head. Eyes, same thing. The eyes are right centered, dead center is equal with, you will have a accurate, and it'll be on your mold, it'll be on your armature correctly. And, so now I have 4 watching. Hello, everybody out there. Say something. Anyway, I'll do a little more since I got more people joining me here. I'll just try to smooth it out. Got to take my glasses off. So if you leave a comment, just give me a minute. I'll keep looking over to see. Right now I got 3 comments on there. So and all I'm doing right now is just smoothing out the work that I had done to the ear. The ear is a mess. So is this countertop. But yeah, now if you're new to sculpting and you want to join and you want to start doing this yourself, just remember, don't rush it. Don't rush this. This is not something that you can rush. This you can work. I've been working on this for on and off. I would say to get to this point, because I keep learning new tricks and I retool the sculpture, I'm well over a year of sculpting on this to get the look that I'm really after. And it's a constant, learn as you go. Well, if you're new and you've never sculpted in clay like myself, I've worked with wood, so I have the art ability in me, but when it comes down to it, I've never worked with clay, and I've never sculpted a face. So it's new. You have to treat it as such. So every time I see something new that I didn't like what I did on that original sculpture, back to the drawing board, and I retool the sculpture to make it look right. But I think I'm really where I want to be now. I think I'm really close to the finish line with this. So I'm not going to be on here much longer. I have to take a trip to Walmart before it closes. And I'm just trying to give you guys a general idea of what us artists have to go through to make this Myers mask for you guys. And especially guys out there that are learning how to do it themselves, that never picked up a tool for for sculpting or never sculpted anything. And if I'm helping you and I'm teaching you, that's great. That's all I want to do. Remember this: pass your knowledge, share your knowledge.
Don't ever try to hide it, because you know, when it comes down to it, no matter how much we learn, it still comes down to our own ability. It really does. We are very limited to what we are able to do as an artist. It's because it comes down to your eye. It's like not everybody can play an instrument. Well, there's a reason for that, because they call it perfect pitch hearing. I happen to have it, so I know exactly what that is. Perfect pitch hearing is a curse at the same time as a gift. All right, the gift is I can hear what key any song is in just by hearing it, and it allows me to mix music really well as a disc jockey. The curse is anytime I go into a karaoke bar and I hear somebody singing and they're the slightest bit out of key, it drives you crazy. It's like, oh my God, you want to bend his voice or her voice into the right key. You know, it's almost like, let me slap you upside the head because you're out of key. You know, it drives you crazy. It really does. It's one of those things that just like, oh, I steer clear. I mean, it's all fun. A lot of people go out and they do karaoke. I'm not busting on people that are singing karaoke. As long as you're not thinking that you're some superstar and you're being told all the wrong things. And that's what happens to a lot of people. I feel bad for them because they're being told they're real good, and they really buy into that, and next thing you know it, they're showing up at every event and asking, hey, I want to sing, I can sing, and then when they get on, you're going, whoa, 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 dude, or her, whatever, it's terrible. So, for me, it's like it's like somebody running their fingers along a chalkboard. So like I said, that's the curse part. Things that are, when I hear something out of key, it drives me crazy. But with that being said, sculpting is no different than that, because sculpting, it's all about your inner ability, the things that if you have a natural ability with art, you should be pretty good with sculpting. You won't have too many problems. Now, I still got a lot of work to do behind the ear. I got to dig this all out back behind here. But if I dig too much into the back of the ear, it creates another lock. And what I mean by lock is when I go to separate the mold, it's going to want to pull that ear apart. And the more locking that's going on, the more difficult it is to separate your mold. A lock is like, you see the ear hole? When that stone is inside that ear hole, it's going to rake, it's going to pull through this clay. And this clay is very hard, so that is called a lock. Anywhere that clay will sit, like you see this is sticking out farther here, all right? And then behind the ear here it's sunk in. So this portion of this, when that turns to stone, that's not going to bend around that ear, it's going to rip it right off. So literally, the ears really get damaged the most because the seam goes right over dead center of the head. All right, the highest peak is where your seam is. Wherever that highest spot is on that head is where your seam's going to be. Then you bring it down and you go behind the ear, and then you go down the neck. That's your seam, and that's a two-part mold. And when you separate it, you separate the mold like this. You don't separate it like this. You don't lift up on it. You have to literally pry it from the top and just peel it down, because all this will come right down and off. You'll have very little damage in this area. A little bit of damage around the eyes, but not, a little damage right in here. There's a locking point right here at the nose, where the nose flares out a little bit. That'll lock, and that will become, that'll get raked on both sides of the nose. The ears definitely get damaged. They forget it. You're not going to save them. They get wrecked, and you have to just resculpt them. But you can see where I'm at with this now. You can kind of see. Let me get another tool inside of here just to try and smooth this out a little more. Just trying to get all the little the bumps out of this. You don't want any real big lumps in there, because when I go to smooth this out with the naphtha is what I use to smooth things out. Trying to concentrate here. I don't want to. Cool. Okay, that cleaned that up in there a little bit better. But yeah, I'm rattling on. Any other comments, guys? Three watching. So somebody keeps jumping on and off. Drinking some of my coffee. It's already cold. I talk too much. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is, and like I said, ears are not perfect. If you're sculpting something other than, replications, if you're doing your own thing, you have a generalized shape in an ear, and then you can make little changes to that ear any way you want. Now, if you're trying to replicate a mask like the Myers mask, then I'm honing it into the close to what the Myers looks like. Even the other side is not done. It's just a general ear, and then I'll do the fine detailing as far as how the shape, maybe it's a little bigger at the top, maybe the earlobe's a little bigger. I'll add all those little imperfections that make it look like a Myers ear. I think I'll video that. I gotta empty my phone though. I gotta get that squared away. I'll think I'll do a video separate instead of doing live, because that might be better seen as a high speed. Because when you get into the real fine detail of when you're finally getting in close to finish, you're working with crumbs of clay, and 2 hours of sculpting looks like you barely did anything. So you might be doing it for 3 or 4 hours of sculpting, but you put it on a high speed and maybe shrink that down to maybe a half-hour length. You take a 3-hour video and turn it into a half-hour video. And whatever speed that may be, that's how you'll see it, and you'll see the change. A lot of times we don't see the change because it takes a long time to actually visually see the changes. And that's also difficult too. A lot of people don't understand is I see the change as I do it. All right, I can see where I'm making my changes. Where the common person, they go, well, what did you do there? It didn't look like you did anything. Well, that's because I'm actually seeing, let me put it another way. I see this in high speed video. I know where I'm going with it. I know the direction I'm going with it. Somebody that doesn't have an eye or is not an artist themselves, they're just looking for the end result. They're not going to be able to see what I'm doing. They can't see what I'm doing. I guess some people can, some people can't. But if you guys are an artist out there and you really want to get into something like this, man, go for it. Never say I can't. There's only 2 words I understand: is I won't or I will. There's no I can't. I don't believe in I can't. I can't's not a. I can't is always an excuse to me. I just never believed in I can't. Now, I can't afford. That could be another issue altogether. You can't afford to do something like this, and if you're passionate about something, you'll find a way. You really love something, you will find a way to get the things you need to do this. But you gotta love it, just like anything that we do in life. If you really want something, you will achieve it. You will achieve. You'll get there. You will get there. But you gotta want it. You know, you gotta want whatever it is. You gotta be passionate about, like, anything that you really want in life. Um, Without the passion to drive it home, success doesn't happen without passion. It really doesn't. I don't believe in it. I don't believe it can. And success comes from somebody that's passionate about what they're doing. They love it. They would do it for free. It's not a job. It's fun to them. And if you've got a job that's fun to you and you love it, you found your passion in life. And you will succeed rapidly at something that you love, because you will spend the extra mile. You will go the extra mile, and you will spend the extra minutes that it takes to achieve whatever it is you're trying to achieve. Remember that going forward, guys. We only have one life. We don't have a very long time. You think you do, man. I'm 60 years old, and it went by so fast. But the reason why it went by so fast is because I chose to follow my passion. I didn't follow the buck. I didn't follow the money. I've actually turned down things for money, dramatically, things that could have altered my life. But I didn't chase money. I said, no, you know what? That's not going to make me happy. I'm going to be miserable doing that. I knew that I would be stuck. I wouldn't last. I would not have lasted. And I think my reason why I wouldn't have lasted is because at a young age I found my passion. I was fortunate. A lot of people don't get to do that at a young age. They don't ever find their passion at a very young age. Sometimes it takes them until they're out of college or whatever before they finally find something that they love. And sad, because a lot of people, I think college, we go into it too young. We don't have any life experiences. I guess I'm on by myself now. We don't have any life experiences. And when you don't have the life experiences, it's just too, you could spend $200,000 on an education and then come out and completely go in another direction because you found a passion a little later on in life that you really love, that's not really making a lot of money. But now you're in debt for $300,000, going to school, and you hate that job, and you found something that makes half that, or maybe, it makes half of what you could have made, following that education, and you end up in debt and doing, but one thing you'll be happy about is you're doing something you love. But now you're going to have to pay that debt off. And that's why I say I think college is overrated. You will achieve a lot more finding your passion. And then, find the passion, then get the education that you need to follow through with that passion. Just my thoughts. I don't know. What do I know? I've only been on the planet for 60 years. So, what do I know? And you know what? I've been blessed. I didn't have to do a lot of things that I didn't want to do throughout my life, because, like I said, I found my passion at a very young age. I actually have two passions. Passion one was DJing as a disc jockey, and my second passion is obvious, my art. I love my art, no matter what it is. So there are two things, and basically on the artistic sides. Now, if you ask me to do math, I'm not the best speller in the world. I'm not the best mathematician in the world. I'm an artist, and most artists aren't really brainiacs. They're not bookworms by far. How you become an artist, I think, is God-given, but it's because you're weak in other areas. That's what it is when it comes down to it. We're strong people that are real smart in math and highly educated in those areas. You find most of those aren't real good at art. Most of those people aren't really good at artistic things. They use their brain. We use our eyes. We use our ears. We use our hands. But you need that. You need that balance. You got to have everybody. Everybody can't be a bookworm. Not everybody can be an artist. It's a perfect balance in society because not everybody can do this. Not everybody can be a mathematician or a scientist. But anyway, I'm going to stop rattling on. I got things to do, and I just wanted to share that tutorial. If it's a tutorial, is that a tutorial? On how to sculpt a Michael Myers mask, a Michael Myers sculpture. That's what we're working on. You guys have a wonderful night, and the weekend's sneaking up on us. We're hump day's tomorrow, right? Yeah, tomorrow's Wednesday. So the weekend's sneaking up on us, and I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. If I don't see you for the rest of the week, I'm just going to keep doing these videos. I'm going to hone this thing in, and you guys are actually going to see me do it. Anytime I put something on without doing the camera, I'll explain exactly what I did, and you kind of see what I do anyway, so you kind of know, how I do things. I only work one way, and always try to find easier ways to achieve it. But I like those little discoveries from time to time. Makes it all worth it. But you guys have a wonderful night, wonderful day tomorrow, wonderful rest of the week, and especially have a great weekend coming up. I know most of you guys work 9 to 5 on regular jobs, and they're not fun. Those 9 to 5ers, man, they're not fun. But unless you found your passion, like I said. But you guys have a wonderful weekend. I know you guys are looking forward to getting off. Who wouldn't be? But party hardy, as they say. And I'm going to say peace and have a wonderful night. Let me go over there and get my phone. This old beat up man is all right, clicking it off here. Now how do I stop it here? Okay, we're just all right, so we're zooming in here. This will be the last shot you see. And see, there's where I was reading my text on my so guys, remember to text anytime you're on. So peace. Love yous all, man. Hit the subscribe if you're not a subscriber. Hit the share, the like button, and the notification bell is important, because then this way when I do go live, you'll get a notification letting you know that I'm live. So hit that little bell. Most of my videos will be live videos, and they will be uploaded. I'll upload the videos to my channel. You can watch them later in completion. And I'm going to start editing them. So whenever I'm actually sculpting, I'm probably going to put them on high speed. I'll explain what I'm doing and then do it, put that portion of the video on high speed, and then go back to stopping it, and then stop and go, kind of explaining what I'm going to do, and then do the high speed. I just want to formulate that kind of, I just think it would work really nice. It'll be more, I don't know, just be more professional. In this way, you're not sitting through an hour and a half or 2 hours of video. So peace, everybody. Have a good night. Bye.